The queen's silent grief. The grand palace of the alien world was filled with silence. Tall pillars of shining crystal reached the high ceiling, glowing with soft blue light. Yet inside the throne hall, no music, no laughter, and no voice of joy could be heard. The alien queen sat alone upon her throne, her face heavy with sorrow. Her crown sparkled like stars, but her eyes were dim, filled with pain that even a ruler of galaxies could not hide. Her daughter, her only child, had been taken many cycles ago. In the middle of war, when enemies struck without warning, the young princess was captured. Some said she had been killed. Some whispered that she was locked far away, inside the fortress of shadows. The queen never believed the whispers of death, but every day without her daughter felt like a knife inside her heart. She was a queen who could command fleets of ships, armies of warriors, but she could not hold her child in her arms. Every night she looked at the stars, wondering if her daughter was looking at the same sky. Her people bowed before her, but behind her back they said, "The queen is broken. The queen is weak." Still, no one dared to speak these words aloud. She was still their ruler, but the grief in her heart had spread across the palace like cold air. Even the guards walked softly, afraid to disturb her silence. One evening, when the throne hall was empty and quiet, the heavy doors opened. The sound of footsteps echoed against the crystal walls. The guards moved to stop the stranger, but the queen raised her hand. She wanted to see who dared to walk straight into her sorrow. It was not an alien. It was not one of her kind. It was a human. Humans were considered small and weak by most species in the galaxy. They were known for their short lives, their fragile bodies. But there was something in this man's eyes that did not match weakness. He stood tall, his clothes torn from travel, his face marked with scars. He looked at the queen without fear. "Why are you here?" the queen asked, her voice soft but cold. The man bowed his head slightly. "I came because I heard your pain. I came because I know where your daughter is." The queen's heart skipped, but she did not show it. Many liars had stood before her, promising the same thing. Some had tried to trick her for wealth, others to gain power. All of them had failed, and all of them had died. "You dare speak of her?" she said. Her eyes glowed with power. "If you lie, you will not leave this hall alive." The man did not move back. He did not tremble. "I do not lie," he said calmly. "Your daughter is alive. She is in the prison of shadows, guarded by the enemy. I can bring her back." The queen stared at him. She wanted to believe. She wanted to scream and demand proof, but his voice carried something rare, certainty. "Why would a human risk his life for an alien child?" she asked sharply. "What do you want from me? Power, gold, a fleet of ships?" The man shook his head. "I want nothing. I fight because it is the right thing to do. I fight because no child should cry alone in the dark. I fight because I am human." For the first time in many cycles, the queen felt something inside her chest. A spark, a faint light that she thought was gone forever. Hope. Her advisors stepped forward quickly. "My queen, do not trust him. He is human. They are weak, they are not to be trusted. He will fail, and the enemy will laugh at us." The queen raised her hand again, silencing them. Her gaze stayed fixed on the man. His scars spoke of battles, his calm voice spoke of courage, and his eyes spoke of truth. "You claim you can save her," she said slowly. "Then know this. If you fail, I will destroy you myself." The man nodded. "I accept." The throne hall filled with silence again. The queen leaned back in her seat, her heart beating faster than it had in years. She had given many warriors the chance before, but this felt different. Something about the human unsettled her. Something about him whispered that perhaps, just perhaps, he would succeed where others had failed. "Go," she commanded at last. "Bring her back to me. Bring back my child." The man bowed once more. "I will." He turned and walked out of the hall, his footsteps steady, his back straight. The queen watched him until he disappeared beyond the doors. When the hall was empty again, the queen pressed her hand against her chest. For the first time in so long, her heart was not only heavy with grief, it carried a thread of fragile hope. She whispered to herself, almost like a prayer, "Come back to me, both of you." And in the shadows above, unseen by all, the watchers of the enemy already whispered, the human had begun his journey. The human's journey begins. The human warrior left the crystal palace behind, his figure swallowed by the endless alien city. Above him, the skies glowed with twin moons and rivers of light from distant ships. Around him, thousands of alien citizens stared with disbelief. A human walking freely through their world was rare, almost impossible. Yet he walked with steady steps as if the weight of galaxies rested on his shoulders. He had only one goal, the rescue of the Queen's daughter. But the path ahead was not simple. The prison of shadows was no ordinary place. It was hidden beyond broken stars, guarded by creatures that even the bravest soldiers feared. Maps did not show it. Rumors called it a maze of death where light itself disappeared. Still, the human did not turn back. At the edge of the city, he met an old merchant who looked at him with sharp, doubtful eyes. "You're human," the merchant hissed. "You don't belong here. Go back to your planet before they crush you." The warrior's reply was calm. "I can't turn back. A child waits for me." The merchant studied him for a long time, then gave a small laugh. "You will die, human, but perhaps you will take some of them with you." He pushed a strange device into the human's hand, a tracker glowing with red lines. "This will lead you to the shadow zone. But once you enter, no one comes back." The warrior only nodded. "Then I will be the first." His journey began across alien deserts where sandstorms burned like fire, through swamps where acid rivers boiled, and across mountains that sang with voices of the dead. Each land tested him. Each step was harder than the last, but he pushed forward. More than once, enemies tried to stop him. Alien raiders ambushed him in the desert, their blades sharper than steel. He fought them with speed and skill, but not like other warriors. He used wit, turning their weapons against them, tricking them into fighting each other. His scars grew deeper, yet his spirit burned brighter. In the swamp, poisonous beasts rose from the waters. Their jaws could crush stone. Their eyes glowed red with hunger. The warrior had no ship, no army, only his courage. He crafted traps with the bones of fallen creatures, and when the beasts struck, they fell into their own doom. Every challenge carved his legend deeper. Whispers began to spread across the galaxy. A human walks where others fear. A human defies death itself. Still, the closer he came to the prison of shadows, the darker his path grew. Stars above him dimmed, as if light itself feared the place he was headed. The tracker in his hand pulsed stronger, each beat like a drum of destiny. One night he rested near the ruins of an old outpost. Broken walls and burned flags told the story of a forgotten war. As he closed his eyes, a voice spoke from the darkness. "You should not be here, human." The warrior rose, blade in hand. From the shadows stepped an alien assassin, cloaked in black armor. His eyes burned like fire. "Turn back now," the assassin warned. "The child belongs to the darkness. If you continue, you will face horrors you cannot imagine." The warrior's reply was quiet but firm. "Then let the horrors face me." The assassin attacked with speed like lightning. Blades clashed, sparks filled the air. The fight was fierce, each strike shaking the ruins around them. For a moment it seemed the human might fall, but then he used the ruins themselves, collapsing a broken tower to bury the assassin beneath stone. Breathing hard, he looked to the stars once more. His path was clear. The prison was waiting. Far away, inside a dark cell, the young princess stirred. She had dreamed of her mother's face again, but this time the dream was different. She saw a stranger's figure, tall and scarred, walking through fire and shadow toward her. For the first time since her capture, she whispered into the darkness, "Someone is coming." And somewhere in the silence, the prison walls trembled. The prison of shadows, the stars around him began to fade. One by one, the shining lights in the galaxy grew dim until the sky looked like an empty canvas. The tracker in the human's hand glowed blood red now, pulling him forward. He had reached the edge of the shadow zone, the place no map dared to mark. Ahead of him floated a fortress unlike any other. Black towers stretched into the void, built from a metal that swallowed light. Strange runes glowed faintly across its walls, pulsing like a heartbeat. The air around it twisted, bending even sound and time. This was the prison of shadows, where nightmares were chained, and hope was meant to die. The human warrior stood still for a moment, his eyes fixed on the fortress. He could feel its hunger, like a living creature watching him. Any other being would have turned away, but he whispered to himself, "Wait for me, child. I am coming." With silent steps he moved forward, crossing the invisible barrier. A sudden wave of cold wrapped around him. His breath turned to mist and his body felt heavier, as if the shadows themselves tried to drag him down. Yet he pushed on. Inside the prison, endless halls stretched into darkness. The walls were alive, shifting shapes, whispering voices that clawed at his mind. They spoke of failure, of death, of despair. You are weak, human. You will never succeed. She is ours forever. The warrior clenched his jaw and kept walking. He had fought armies, he had faced beasts, but this was different. This was war against his own spirit. Suddenly he heard footsteps, heavy, inhuman. From the dark corridor, a monstrous guardian appeared. Its body was made of shadow, tall as a mountain, with eyes burning red like molten fire. Chains rattled around its arms, each one ending in a blade. The guardian roared, shaking the hall. "None pass here!" The child belongs to the darkness. The human drew his weapon, a simple blade forged from steel. Nothing compared to alien technology, but in his hands it shone brighter than the shadows. He fought the beast with speed and fury. Chains cracked against walls. Sparks flew, and every strike felt like thunder. The battle lasted long, and the fortress itself seemed to watch with hunger. At last, the warrior drove his blade deep into the guardian's chest. The shadow howled, collapsing into mist, leaving behind only silence. Breathing heavily, the human pressed on, deeper into the maze of corridors. Each step carried him closer to the heart of the prison. The whispers grew louder. The walls shook, but he did not falter. At last, he reached a chamber lit by a single beam of pale light. In the center, a small figure sat chained to the floor. Her eyes were closed, her body weak, but her presence filled the chamber with fragile innocence, the queen's daughter. He stepped closer, his voice steady, though his heart pounded. "Child, I am here to take you home." Her eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly with her alien bloodline. For a moment she stared, confused, frightened. Then tears filled her eyes. You are not one of us," she whispered. "Why would you come for me?" The warrior knelt beside her, breaking the chains with his blade. "Because no child should be left in the dark. Because your mother waits for you. Because I am human." The chains shattered, the sound echoing like thunder across the prison. The shadow screamed furious. The fortress trembled as if awakened fully. The princess clung to his arm, her small voice shaking. "We must hurry. They will not let us leave." From the darkness around them, shapes began to rise. More guardians, more beasts, endless shadows. Their red eyes filled the chamber, glowing like fire in the night. The human tightened his grip on his blade, pulling the child close. His voice was calm, yet fierce, like steel itself. "Then let them try." And with that, the prison of shadows exploded into chaos. Escape through fire, the fortress roared like a living beast. The moment the chains of the princess shattered, the shadows screamed with rage. Black walls pulsed, corridors twisted, and the ground shook as if the entire prison wanted to swallow the intruders whole. The human warrior lifted the girl into his arms. She was light, fragile, but her presence gave him strength. With her head resting on his shoulder, he spoke in a low voice. "Hold tight. Whatever happens, I will not let go." The shadows answered with fury. From every corridor, monstrous guardians surged forward. Their forms were endless. Some crawled on twisted legs, others slithered like serpents of smoke, all with eyes that burned like dying suns. The warrior moved fast, his blade flashing in the dark. Each swing cut through shadow flesh, each strike forcing a path forward. But for every monster he destroyed, more rose from the ground as if the fortress had no end to its army. The princess clutched his armor, her fear trembling in her voice. "You cannot fight them all. We must run," he nodded. "Then we run through fire." He charged down the longest corridor, shadows chasing like a storm. The walls themselves bent inward, closing around them. He spotted a crack of light at the far end, a hidden exit. But between him and freedom stood the warden of the prison. The warden was no ordinary guardian. It towered above all others, its body made of pure flame wrapped in chains of black steel. Its voice thundered like mountains breaking. "Human, you dare steal what belongs to the dark? You will burn here forever." The warrior placed the princess behind him, his blade steady. "Then come and try." The warden struck with chains of fire, each swing enough to crush stone. The warrior dodged, rolled, and countered with sharp strikes. Sparks filled the air. The battle shook the corridor, walls splitting open with every clash. For a moment, the warden's flames wrapped around him, burning his skin. But the warrior roared and pushed through, slashing across the creature's chest. The warden staggered, but it did not fall. It laughed, a terrible sound. "You are only human, weak, fragile. Do you really think you can win?" The warrior's reply was filled with steel. "I am human, and that is why I will never stop." With one final strike, he drove his blade deep into the warden's core. The flames exploded, chains snapping apart, fire swallowing the corridor. He grabbed the princess, shielding her as the explosion tore the shadows apart. When the fire cleared, a path stood open before them. The exit, but the prison was not done. Alarms blazed across the fortress, red lights flashing. The floor tilted, splitting into abysses of endless dark. Alien ships began to rise outside, engines screaming, ready to capture them before escape. The warrior ran, carrying the princess. Behind him, the fortress crumbled, shadows collapsing like dying stars. Ahead of him, firestorms lit the skies. He leapt across broken bridges, dodged falling towers, and raced through chaos itself. The princess looked at him with wide, glowing eyes. "Why do you risk everything? You don't even know me." His voice was steady even in the storm. "Because every child deserves to go home. Because your mother still waits. And because this is what humans do." Tears welled in her eyes. For the first time since her capture, she felt safe. As they reached the outer gates, a massive enemy warship descended, blocking the skies. Soldiers poured from its hull, weapons raised, surrounding them. The warrior placed the girl behind him, blade ready once more. His body was scarred, his strength nearly gone, but his spirit blazed brighter than the fires around him. He whispered more to himself than to her. "They think this is the end. But for us, this is only the beginning." The shadows closed in, fire rained from above, and the fate of both human and child balanced on a knife's edge. The reunion, the fortress burned behind them, its towers collapsing into black smoke. But escape was not yet won. Above the battlefield, the enemy warship loomed like a dark moon. Its cannons glowed red, ready to fire. Soldiers in heavy armor surrounded the human warrior and the queen's daughter. The girl clung to his back, her small hands trembling. "They will kill us," she whispered. The warrior's eyes stayed fixed on the enemy. His voice was calm, steady as steel. "Not while I still breathe." The enemy commander stepped forward. A tall alien with silver armor and eyes like knives. His voice cut the air. "You've come far, human, too far. Give me the child and I may let you die quickly." The warrior raised his blade, his body tired, his wounds deep, but his spirit blazed brighter than the stars. "I don't bargain with monsters." The commander laughed and signaled the attack. Soldiers rushed in like a wave. The human fought with everything left inside him. His blade danced, cutting through shadows and steel alike. Sparks and blood filled the air. For every strike against him, he answered with fire. But he was only one man, and the wave was endless. The princess cried out, her eyes glowing brighter than before. Something ancient stirred within her, a power inherited from her royal blood. She raised her small hands, and a shield of light burst outward, pushing soldiers back. The human turned to her, shocked. You saved me," he whispered. She smiled through her tears. "No, we saved each other." The commander roared in fury and charged, his blade made of pure energy. The clash shook the ground. The warrior blocked, every muscle screaming in pain. The commander was stronger, faster. Slowly, the human was forced to his knees. The enemy sneered. "You're nothing but a fragile human. This is where you die." The warrior's voice came through gritted teeth. "If I die, then I die fighting for her." Summoning his last strength, he twisted his blade upward, striking through the commander's chest. The alien staggered, disbelief in his eyes before collapsing with a final scream. The battlefield froze. Soldiers stepped back, their courage shattered. Without their leader, they scattered into the smoke. The warship above, damaged by the girl's light, pulled away into the dark sky. The human dropped to one knee, breath ragged, blade stained. The girl rushed to his side, hugging him tightly. "Please don't fall. You promised to take me home." He placed a hand on her shoulder, forcing a small smile. "And I will keep that promise." Together, they boarded a stolen ship and left the prison behind. Stars stretched across the sky once more. For the first time, the girl looked at the stars not with fear, but with hope. When they reached the queen's palace, the throne hall was filled with silence. The great doors opened, and the queen rose from her throne. For a moment, her eyes could not believe what they saw. Her daughter walking in, holding the hand of a scarred human warrior. The child ran forward, crying out, "Mother!" The queen fell to her knees, arms wide, tears streaming down her face. She pulled her daughter close, holding her as if she would never let go again. The hall echoed with the sound of a mother's joy and relief. The queen looked up at the human. Her voice trembled, breaking through the silence. "You brought her back to me. You gave me my heart again. You saved me. The warrior bowed his head. I only did what had to be done. But in her eyes, he was more than that. He was a hero. Not just to her, but to her people, to her world. The queen rose, holding her daughter's hand. From this day forward, no one will call humans weak. From this day, the galaxy will remember the warrior who fought shadows and fire and brought back the light. The hall erupted in cheers, alien voices echoing like thunder. Yet through the noise, the queen whispered softly to her child, her tears still falling. He saved us both. And in that moment, the legend of the human warrior was born. A story that would spread across the stars, a story that would never be forgotten.